Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is a room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. Too long we have wandered, burdened and undone, but there is room at the table for everyone. Let us sing the new world in. This is how it all begins. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there is room at the table for everyone. Here and now we can be the beloved community. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's
the Inland Empire Immigrant Youth Collective. He currently sits on the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice, ICIJ, board. His work is focused on the intersections between criminal justice system and immigration systems. He began his work on these issues with Shut Down the Border Transitional Center, BTC, in Boca Raton, Florida, in 2012. Since then, he has been active in the fight to dismantle the collaboration between local law enforcement and immigration authorities, and the fight against mass incarceration in the inland valleys. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, referred to as DACA, is a United States immigration policy that allows some individuals with an undocumented presence in the United States, after being brought to the country as children, to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible for an employment authorization document, work permit. In the US, our speaker, Luis Nolasco, will share his experiences and insights with us. We have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous peoples' remembrance candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original peoples of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred spot of several groups of Indigenous people, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let us carry these thoughts with us as we journey forward and worship together. Today's reading for the chalice lighting is Inherent Worth and Dignity by Steve S. We light this chalice to celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to reaffirm the historic pledge of liberal religion to seek the justice which transcends legality and moves toward the resolution of true equality, and to share that love which is ultimately beyond our cherished reason, that love which unites us. Thank you, Bill. We have a tradition at UC. Oh, go ahead.
4 geese, just fed on love against the contrary.
Thank you, Bill. We have a tradition at UUCR to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. We know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, and so I will now ask for a volunteer from someone who has been here a while to tell us your name and how you found out about our church. We ask you to step close to the mic and speak into it directly and clearly so everyone can hear. However, be aware that you will be visible on our Zoom camera and recording of the service, which is posted online. Do we have any church members that would like to volunteer? Yes, thank you, Ray.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ren Mansour, and hello. My name is Ren Mansour, and I used to live in Long Beach, and there is a big, very popular UU church there. And a lot of my friends went there, even though I didn't. But when I moved out here, away from all my friends, I realized, hey, I really missed having that community. And so I was already primed to understand the UU community to be welcoming and frankly, my kind of people. So I knew exactly where to look. And here I am. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, and that's how we do it. You could step forward, anybody, if you would like. If you are new here, a visitor or old friend, you can raise your hand and we can also bring the mic to you. If there's someone online who would like to introduce themselves, please raise your hand and we will call you on by Zoom. You could let us know who you are, where you're from, how you found out about us.
Hello.
Sorry. I am Rachel. I'm from Oklahoma and I'm just visiting my brother here. He's a grad student at UCR. But yeah, I'm from Tulsa and I go to the Universal Unitarian Church on there. It's really cool. Definitely like a much different than growing up in a traditional like Southern Baptist church. I just really resonate with so many of the beautiful things that you guys think on and how well that you consider and honor people's feelings and have done a lot in the way of seeking the truth and living a life of service. So.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom? For any of our new guests, please join us for socializing and coffee hour after the service. We would love to chat with you in the parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you are here, and leave your contact information if you want to know more about upcoming events. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. We're going to sing now. Our hymn now is number 121, We'll Build a Land, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you and stand in body or spirit and join us in singing 121, We'll Build a Land.
We'll build a land where we
We're like oaks of righteousness, centered people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is shown here, as well as the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater's groceries cards, which we will have in church every Sunday. Amazon gift cards are also available. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Dinah Rowe or Robert Braun in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you and by whatever method makes best for you. Thank you for your generosity. To those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who have joined us today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? We also will be collecting food and hygiene items to distribute to those in need. Please remember that your presence is the true gift for our church. We will be singing now. Our next hymn is 402, From You I Receive, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand and embody your spirit and join us in singing hymn 402, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive,
Good morning, everyone. Our meditation today is by Alice Anacheka Nazman. I invite you all to take a deep cleansing breath and place your feet flat on the floor. Take a moment to relax and allow yourself to feel grounded, focused, and calm. When and if you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes as I read today's meditation. In a world so filled with brokenness and sorrow, it would be easy to lose ourselves in never-ending grief, to be choked by our outrage, to be paralyzed by the enormity of suffering, to feel our hearts squeezed tight with hopelessness. Instead, this morning, let us simply breathe together as we hold our hearts open. Breathing in as our hearts fill with compassion. Breathing out as we pray for healing in our world and in our lives. Breathing in, opening ourselves to the transforming power of love. Breathing out as we pray for peace in our world and in our lives. Breathing in as we hold hope in our hearts. Breathing out as we pray for justice in our world and in our lives. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Breathing in, we are the prayer. Breathing out, we are the healing. Breathing in, we are the love. Breathing out, we are the peace. Breathing in, we are the hope. Breathing out, we are the justice. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Amen. Blessed be. May it ever be so. Now let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Now, I would like to invite the chair of the Social and Environmental Justice Committee, Adam Wedeking, to introduce today's sermon. Adam?
Good morning. An action of immediate witness, AIW, is a statement about a significant action, event, or development in the world that necessitates immediate engagement and action among UU member congregations and groups. At this year's UUA General Assembly held on June 21st to 25th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the following issues were elected as the 2023-2024 actions for immediate witness. Protect the Dreamers, the recipients of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, with a pathway to permanent residence, Organizing for Health Equity, and Rise Up to Stop Cop City. Today, I'll read the AIW statement for the action Protect the Dreamers, the recipients of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, with a pathway to permanent residence. Whereas Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice and many Unitarian Universalists hold that no human being is illegal and all merit treatment with inherent worth and dignity, whereas Unitarian Universalists have a deep history passing actions of immediate witness and statements of conscience in support of immigrants and a healthy immigration system. Whereas immigrants and migrants are members of our families, our households, and our communities, and are integral to the social and economic fabric of our society. Whereas Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, is an immigration policy that allows some undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children to receive a 2-year renewable period of deferred action from deportation and an employment authorization document or work permit in the U.S. Whereas DACA has provided temporary relief to more than 825,000 undocumented immigrants since 2021. Whereas current DACA recipients, often referred to as dreamers, have lived here for more than 15 years, and nearly 80% of them are employed, many in jobs deemed essential. Whereas DACA recipients have families here, more than 1.3 million people live with a DACA recipient, including more than 300,000 US-born children who have at least one parent with DACA. Whereas DACA recipients make significant contributions to the U.S. economy. Each year, DACA recipient households pay $6.2 billion in federal taxes, $3.3 billion in state and local taxes, and after taxes have $25.3 billion in spending power. Whereas on July 16, 2021, a U.S. District Court judge ruled that DACA violated the law and prohibited the government from accepting new applications to the program, but allowed current recipients to keep their status while the case goes through the appeals process. Whereas on October 5th, 2022, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed that DACA is unlawful, but returned the case to the district court for a decision on the current DACA policy. Whereas the U.S. District Court heard oral arguments on DACA on June 1st, 2023, and a decision is expected soon. Whereas since the federal courts have barred new applications for DACA, there are now hundreds of thousands of additional undocumented immigrants whose dreams for the future are in jeopardy. Whereas an ultimate court decision that DACA is illegal would disrupt the lives of millions of DACA recipients and family members, whereas only Congress can provide a pathway to permanent residence for DACA recipients. Therefore, be it resolved that the Unitarian Universalist Association supports the Dreamers and believes that they are valued members of our communities, as are other immigrant populations. That the UUA calls on Congress to expeditiously pass legislation to provide Dreamers with a pathway to permanent residence. That the UUA encourages its members to support the Dreamers in their communities and to communicate with the members of Congress to urge them to support legislation protecting the Dreamers. That the UUA will be a vocal and forward-leaning in this work to encourage members to deepen our theological grounding in issues of immigration justice, collaborate with local partners to combat anti-immigrant narratives, including those by state legislators, and work with grassroots organizations and campaigns centering on those most directly affected by anti-immigration policies and other failures of the U.S. immigration system. Now I would like to introduce my friend Luis Nolasco, speaking to us on DACA and the future of immigrant youth. 1 second to get your stuff ready here.
Awesome. Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, yes, okay, great. Good morning. As was previously said, my name is Luis Nolasco. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senior policy advocate and organizer with the ACLU Southern California, and I am also an immigrant and DACA recipient. So the short presentation that I put together is to give a little bit of context as to what's happening in the courts, but I really don't want that to be the main focus, right? In the short time I have here with you all, I just want to share my experience and why this is so important. For other immigrant, I can't hardly call myself a youth anymore because I'm 33. So at the time I was a lot younger when DACA came around, right? But that's the reality of the system, right? And the ongoing fight for legalization for those that are quote unquote dreamers, undocumented youth, right? A lot of us were youth when this began, but a lot of my colleagues and the people that were in the forefront in the streets fighting for this, we're all in our 30s and our 40s. And so I think that calls, I think, a specific attention of how much inaction, right, has been happening on this issue for so long. So many of us have established ourselves here, right? We're adults, we're committed to the society at this point. You know, we can't fathom going back to the country that we're from, right? And so I think that's something that's often missed in the conversation about like undocumented youth and dreamers, right? A lot of us are a lot older than the usual picture of what folks think of a undocumented youth. But as mentioned, right, in June 15, 2012, that's when the Department of Homeland Security created this program, essentially to shield undocumented youth from deportation and grant them an opportunity to be able to work here in the country and contribute to the country that they call home. A lot of folks that identify as DACA and dreamers, they all came here when they were young. For me, I came to this country when I was 9 years old. So I have some recollection of Mexico, right, for the first 9 years of my life. But the vast, 20 years now that I've been here, 20 plus years that I've been here, this is my home, right? Southern California is where I call home. This is where I belong, I feel like. And so for a lot of us, the US is where we belong, and this is our home. But just a quick overcap of what's been happening with the legalities of the program, as Adam mentioned, and as was outlined in the resolution. It's been over half a decade of back and forth fighting between different courts and different decisions about whether or not this program is constitutional. You can read more of the nitty-gritty up there, but I'm just going to summarize, right? It's been one lawsuit here, then it goes to another court, then it goes to a higher court. In 2020, there was the Supreme Court listened to it on whether or not the Trump administration got rid of DACA the right way. They basically said, no, you didn't. They didn't answer the big question of whether or not DACA and similar programs are constitutional. And so that decision is kind of being played out in the Fifth Circuit, which is kind of what the most recent decisions we've got this year, which were that DACA wasn't lawful, right? But that's going to be appealed, and then that's going to go to the Supreme Court. So really, it's a short timeline that we're looking at, right? The Supreme Court is set to essentially take up the arguments for these cases next year in their next what is it called, term, that they're going to figure out these decisions. And so it's really not a lot of time that, you know, from now until June 2024, realistically, that we'll get a decision on DACA. And I think that is a very, devastating reality for a lot of us, given that there's not a great makeup on our current Supreme Court, right? There's just a very terrible outlook for the future of the program. And so I think it's important that, you know, we as community and we as advocates are not only fighting for the youth, right, and ensuring that, you know, and I'll talk about what are some of the local orgs here doing and ways that we can get connected to them, but also understanding of the psychological effects that this has. A lot of us, you know, without this program, we have been able to have an opportunity to have a social security number. We got our first credit line. So I know some people that have bought their home, right? That like we can buy homes now because we have a social security number. We can go to college, we can get grants, we can get so much of the world that was restricted to us before having this 9-digit number suddenly opened up when we got the little card that says you have DACA. And a lot of my colleagues and other youth that are in the situation are quite frankly terrified, right? We've spent all of our life functioning in this way. And the possibility of all of that having to change just because of one body, some 9 people, is a really devastating thing to us. And so I think outside of just the general support, I think offering even that community support, that psychological support for folks, because it could be a quite devastating decision, right? And it could really just shake up so many of our, you know, undocumented youth lives. And so here, let me kind of speed forward. Here are some of the outlines, right? We've talked about the economical contributions that the DACA recipients provide to this industry, to the United States. But I think there's also something worthwhile to also mention, that there is a significant contribution and a significant amount of people that don't have DACA. So there is this whole new generation too, right now, of Gen Z youth that are under 25 that never got the opportunity to benefit from DACA. And so I think as we're looking forward to a path to legalization, we must ensure that whatever proposal and whatever efforts are out there don't just include the people that currently have DACA, because there's a lot of youth that came here before they were like 5, right? They came here as babies that are just not eligible because of the courts, right? And these terrible decisions that are happening. So whatever plan to legalization, let's not forget about these 16-year-olds, right, that are soon to graduate from high school that don't have any of these protections, right? And they're navigating this world that a lot of us had to navigate pre-DACA. And let's not forget about them, because in California, things have gone a lot better, right? But when it comes to some permanent status, that still doesn't exist for them. And so that is a very important thing and highlight from that piece. And so what are some of the things that are happening? And this is a graphic from an amazing organization called United We Dream. They're a national collective of undocumented youth orgs based in Washington, D.C. that do all this work in advocating for Congress for a path to citizenship for dreamers. And so these are some of the, another useful, powerful tool is sharing with your neighbors and community members that may be eligible, that maybe have DACA, right? A lot of people are scared. There's a lot of misinformation. And so reaffirming facts is a powerful tool that we can all do, right? And so people are like, oh, there's so many lawsuits, what's going on? Is my DACA still good? Is it not? And so I think this graphic does a great job of doing that, right? Like, if you already have DACA, you can still renew it, right? And it's just the new applications that are not eligible to apply. But for those individuals out there that have DACA, that's something that they can still continue doing, and they should be doing, right? For as long as we have this program, let's make sure that all those youth and people that have the program continue to reapply. Yes, it is kind of expensive because it is almost $500 every 2 years to apply to this program, but still, it's something that they should be doing if they have the opportunity and chance to, right? Because not only does it grant you a work permit, it also grants you a safeguard from deportation. And then obviously the big one is Democrats must take action to provide permanent protections. We know that the Republicans won't, support the undocumented youth because a lot of the challenges, right, in the courts are coming from Republican states and Republican leaders. Yes, there might be 1 or 2 Republican legislators that do support undocumented youth, but as a whole, the Republican Party, this has been one of their priorities to get rid of these protections. And so I think in a divided Congress, it's more important than ever, right, that we make sure that the Democrats are standing strong, but also that we're reaching out to maybe some of those middle of the line Republicans that would be able to support something like this. I know that this seems like an impossible task with the fact that Congress is so divided right now, but and in the past 15 years, I don't even know how many years we've had this program. I can't do math. 10 years, almost 12 years. There has been a lot of support for undocumented youth, and I think it's one of those issues that it's a no-brainer, right? Like providing safeguards and protections for this mass group of people is an easy thing to do. And so I think there is a lot of hope. And really, Congress is our best bet in terms of like a path to citizenship or a path to be able to stay here if the Supreme Court does strike down this decision next year. And to just wrap it up, right? So we hear, as mentioned in my bio, there is an amazing org that's deep to my heart just because I was there at the founding. It's called the Inland Empire Immigrant Youth Collective. They are an amazing group of folks working with youth right now in high schools and in college, right? So a lot of the population that I mentioned that didn't get to benefit from DACA, they're working with that population on organizing them, getting them to advocate for more. There was a new bill that was just signed into law this year that authorizes Dream Resource Centers at all high schools across the state, which is amazing because, so this is just a center, right, at each high school that undocumented youth can go to and be like, hey, what are the options for me? What about me, as someone as a youth that doesn't have DACA? Where can I go to college? What are some of the resources? What are some of the grants, right? Scholarships, what exists out there for me? And so we're coming along a lot more, and it's thanks to the work of immigrant youth collective organizations like the IEIYC. So I highly encourage to check them out. I can provide their information after this. They're here in the region doing a lot of amazing advocacy. And then some national orgs. I already mentioned United We Dream, right? They're the national immigration, the undocumented youth organization nationally, and then National Immigrant Legal Center, NILC, and then Immigrant Legal Resource Center. They're both really technical, have been at the forefront of a lot of the legal fights with the Supreme Court and the various district courts advocating for DACA. But I think that's just, being conscious of time, like that is sort of an overview of this presentation and DACA. And I think I just want to go back and reiterate, right, that it's not an impossible task that we provide citizenship and a pathway for a lot of us. As mentioned, this is our home. This is where we belong. Like, this is all we know. A lot of undocumented youth only speak English, right? They didn't have the opportunity to learn their native language. And so just again, that call out to support, to do what you can. And I think even if anything, you all as individuals are a powerful agent of change. And even if it just takes you posting one graphic that you can share it to 5 people, we all know that 5 people will share it to another 5 people, and that will keep the train going. And so I think we have a lot of work ahead of us. It's a scary year, as I mentioned, right? June of next year is when we'll know what happens with this program. And I think until then, I think there might be some need for, building allyship with citizens to see what other support citizens can provide for undocumented youth and undocumented adults like myself that might lose DACA, right? There's a lot of options. It's a lot of youth and very few of us. So it really does take a village to get the word out, build community, having workshops, doing all of that, right? But I think from now until then, I'm staying hopeful. I do have faith, and I'm an optimist, even though sometimes I'm not. But with this, I'm quite optimistic that I think things will turn out in a positive way. And at the very least, I know that there are people like you all and other organizations that care about undocumented youth and dreamers, that I think whatever happens makes me feel supported and in community. So yeah, I think that is where I will leave it. But I'll stay around if you have any more questions afterwards. I'm happy to take them there. Thank you.
Our closing hymn is number 355, We Lift Our Heart in Thanks, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand and body your spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 355, We Lift Our Heart in Thanks.
We lift our hearts in thanks today for all the gifts of life, and first for peace that turns away the enmities of strife, and next the beauty of the its flowers and lovely things. The spring's great miracle of birth with sound of songs and wings. Then harvests of its teeming soil in orchard, croft, and field. But more the service and the toil of those who help them yield. And most the gifts of hope and love, of wisdom, truth, and right. The gifts that shine like stars above to chart the world by night.
May we see all as it is, and may it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be, for if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge, to be the living embodiment of our principles, to be about the work of building the beloved community, to be a people of intention and a people of conscience. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Luis, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. And also thank you for using your lived experience to help all those who are in need of help. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. For those of you who would like to stay in the sanctuary for 10 to 15 minutes to share some discussion or observations from the service, please remain in the sanctuary or online. And please be aware that these comments will be posted online. For the rest of you, you are now welcome to adjourn into the parish hall. Now we can invite Luis back up to the pulpit and address anyone who'd like to share their thoughts.
I've got a couple questions. Yeah, I can do that. The $500 fee to register really kind of upsets me. Are there organizations out there that can help somebody who's struggling with that maybe we could support from time to time?
Yeah, there regionally, I know that there's like national, for example, United We Dream is the one org that you can contact them and they can connect you with local organizations that are doing that fundraising. The one or the organization here, they're called the San Bernardino Community Service Center. They have been doing not just paying for the application, but they have been also doing helping you fill out the renewal applications for them. So it's not a very hard form, but just there's a lot of complications with immigration. We always say it's a case-by-case basis. So not one case is going to be the same. And so that's been the one org. And then the other one, I think, if folks want to support with like raising those funds, I would contact the IEIYC. I know that they have supported the youth in the past with fundraising some of those efforts. So I think that's one of the ways that we can do that. I believe the state at one point was giving those reimbursements, but I think that stopped. So yeah, I think San Bernardino Community Service Center and IEIYC are, I think, the two local go-tos for this.
And our church social justice committee has partnered occasionally with IEIYC. We love them, and anytime if there's any sort of you want to do informational sessions or anything like that, come talk to our social justice committee down too. And the other thing our social justice committee would also probably like to take up is speaking about trying to get a this pathway for some sort of permanent residence And you said going through Congress, we have a Congress member who probably really already supports us, and we can talk to him about it, and he'll love to talk to us about it, but I don't know what that will really do. Is there much we can do to kind of push it along outside of that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the fortunate, like, just realities that we have here. Remember, we have a great congressperson that has been supporting undocumented youth and undocumented community as a whole for a while. So I think just continuing to thank them, I think, for their support. So a lot of our regional members, Representative Mark Takano, Representative Pete Aguilar, Norma Torres, Raul Ruiz, all four of them have been vocal supporters in not just a DACA and undocumented youth, but a pathway to legalization for all. There are, however, a couple of other more conservative members that I think if there's, if you have any family or registered voters in those areas, I think that's a perfect opportunity for you to connect with them. In particular, Representative Calvert and Representative Overnulty. So Calvert represents the southwestern Riverside County. So Corona, Temecula, that area over there. And then Representative Overnulty represents pretty much the whole high desert region. So Victorville, Hesperia, Apple Valley, Barstow. So if you have any registered voters that you know in your life, I think to make this a priority, I think that's one way to approach it. And if not, I think supporting efforts to call into other states. I know that, again, we're fortunate that we have a Democratic majority here in California with our Congress people, but that's not the case in other states. And there are often efforts by United We Dream or other national orgs to pressure some of these more moderate, middle of the line Republicans in other states. And so there might be calls to action, right? To call in, right? Hey, I'm from California, but you're still our federal representatives. Please support, whatever proposal gets introduced. So I think that's one of the two ways you can do it. It's like thanking the folks that are already doing this great job to kind of encourage them to keep doing so. And then the other one is encouraging those more or less supportive representatives here in the region. Yeah.
I have not a question, but just a comment. I had not a question, just a quick comment. I learned of all things from a YouTube ad recently that Medi-Cal is available, which is California medical insurance, which is available for undocumented children. And so I just wanted to add that that was one possible resource.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's been also an ongoing fight of young adult, the medical research for young adults recently just 2 years ago or a year ago became a thing. So young adults under 25 and elders are eligible to receive they can buy into the California state insurance program. But then there still remains, I believe, that middle group of people. So I think that's still an ongoing fight. There's been some difficulties with the governor because I think we're in a down economical downturn right now in terms of the budget. And so it's just a question of how do we grant this growing population of people access to medical insurance? But I think the fight for single payer healthcare also loops in a lot of the undocumented folks. So I think they're kind of intertwined. So I know that there's a health equity talk, which is very much so intertwined with the fight to grant access to undocumented folks, access to Medi-Cal. So, but thank you. Yeah, thank you for that resource.
Was there anyone else in the audience who wanted to make a comment? Walt?
It seemed off the track. It's nature reality. So
Yeah.
I would say that anybody who has a heart would, of course, say that these children who were brought here from foreign lands as children have been here all these years, obviously should be granted citizenship. Now, I think that's obvious to anybody with a caring heart. I came up here mainly to mention about what I think is about to happen. Of course, the invasion by Netanyahu into Gaza. And as soon as one Israeli soldier is killed, it will be the usual right-wing refrain throughout all countries, all time, here, there, which is, did that soldier die in vain? And so we can expect Netanyahu and that whole thrust become much more aggressive. And the death toll currently, I guess, at 4,000 or higher by the Palestinians is going to dramatically increase because the southern area of Gaza is being bombed, not just the north. I guess what I'm saying is be sure and pay close attention to legitimate news. Give backing to those liberal voices such as AOC and Bernie, and hope that somehow we can get Lunchbox Joe, when the court turns against DACA, for Lunchbox Joe to somehow decide that maybe those children should be able to be treated humanely and be allowed to stay. I think it's very much up in the air. But one encouraging thing is it looks like Trump's star is dropping, along with forget his name now. Oh, Jim Jordan. Looks like he's down also. So maybe there'll be who knows.
One quick question. So will your phone numbers be available written down somewhere, or how else can we find the contact information for some of the things that you've given us?
Yeah, maybe I can send them over to Adam and to publish. Yeah.
Adam here, who you're familiar with, and the Social Justice Committee, socialjustice@uyourchurchofriverside.org. And Diane here would love you to give you the phone number.
Oh, okay.
So
Hi. It would be nice to have phone numbers to those pivotal places where I can be a positive irritant to get a cause, to help a cause, without getting a lot of robots and hold for 3 hours and then turn out to be in a circle of a hamster.
Yeah.
Positive action using a phone. I don't know if they're those numbers. If so, it would be nice to know what they be. The power to get to bypassing the robots, hopefully.
Yeah, I can put those together for Adam. So I'll include maybe some of even the positive Democratic supportive congressmen, like I mentioned, just letting them know you're doing a great job, keep doing it is encouraging. And then also I'll give some numbers for the not so supportive Congress people in California. So you can call them and give them an earful.
Was there anyone else? Yes.
Hi, sorry, I'm like, this is my first time here, but I've been to the one in Montclair, which was really nice. So I just decided to come out to this one as well. I just wanted to know if there were any sort of like we're doing anything for the victims in Gaza, as one of the previous people spoke about. It's like we're just kind of watching a genocide happen in front of our eyes, and we're being gaslit into pretending like it's not happening, or that we have to elevate one group of people above another, and it's making me physically sick. I just want to know if there's any sort of like service or any organization or organizing or anything that we're doing, or that the churches or this institution is doing in order to kind of recognize the people over there right now.
Because that's a good question, because we really are not right now. We have a social justice committee that meets once a month, and really met right before all of this kind of went down. or at least right towards the beginning of it, before we realized how horrible the reaction was going to be. And so there isn't right now, but when you leave, there is a way to sign our virtual guest book and get on the social justice email. We will be, because that is something. There was a march for Palestinians here last night that some of us from the church were involved in, and we're going to start talking about that. So, thank you for asking.
So I think that's all for the in-person questions. Adam, is there anyone online who'd like to? No? Okay. So if there are no further comments, thank you very much for being here and for sharing your thoughts. And now we can adjourn to the parish hall for further fellowship. Thank you very much.